a few words. Yo, I'm gonna break this couch up. I'm telling y'all, this iteration of y'all is getting broken up.
I know.
You do know?
I peeped. No, I peeped.
It's 100% coming.
I peeped.
Okay.
I already see the play.
Yeah, because y'all two together, boy.
I seen the play.
I ain't saying
You
nothing.
sounded great, man. Couch a few words. What you trying to say?
Yeah, what y'all trying to say?
No, I just said mad words. I'm not your
You said word salad. What you was trying to get at?
I said enough for the audience to underdig what I'm saying. I didn't do what y'all do.
Sometimes what's understood ain't got to be said.
Hold up. Joe Budden straight up checked ICE and basically told them they're not pulling their weight. And yes, this all went down on the latest episode of the Joe Budden podcast. The vibe got tense real quick when Joe looked at Ish and ICE and said, "I'm separating y'all," and you could feel the air shift. Now, why would he even say that? Over the past month or two, let's be honest, Ish and ICE have been coasting, barely jumping into the on-air conversations like they used to. Joe made it crystal clear, "I'm splitting y'all up. I don't want you sitting together." And come on, the reason wasn't hard to decode. Whenever they're side by side, they end up whispering and reacting to each other instead of speaking to the audience. And you already know what that means. That means the mics are hot, but the listeners are left out. They'd rather have their own little sidebar than actually perform for the people who tuned in. Then ICE dropped a line that made everybody raise an eyebrow. He hit us with, "What's understood doesn't need to be explained." And sometimes, sure, what's understood doesn't need to be said, but this is a podcast. You're supposed to break it down, articulate it, and bring the audience inside the moment. So now we wait and see how Joe actually executes this move. My guess? He's hinting at one of two plays. Either he physically splits Ish and ICE on the couch, or, listen to this, he pulls a strategic switch up and slides Imani into the main lineup while pushing Ish and ICE toward Patreon-only appearances. Maybe even flips the Wednesday rotation. ICE handles Patreon while Imani locks into the flagship show. So is ICE about to catch that D'Angelo Barksdale demotion to the pit? Yeah, that's interesting. Because after 5 years, sometimes the only way to spark hunger again is to change somebody's role. Shout out to my The Wire fans, you caught that reference. And if we're being real, ICE low-key gives D'Angelo energy. But let's pivot. Another standout moment was when Mark Lamont Hill delivered a podcast eulogy for Jesse Jackson. First off, RIP to Jesse Jackson, may he rest in peace. The room started praising Mark, saying only he could deliver something like that. Then ICE said, "I couldn't do that. You couldn't do that, Joe. We wouldn't have done that." I mean, maybe they would have tried. Somebody probably would have stepped up. But Joe's response was the real gem. He said, "I would have tried." And that's the core issue with Ish and ICE since day one. Joe basically admitted he might have bombed, might have sounded terrible, but the difference? He'd still step up and take the shot. And if he bricked it, something would come from it. Imagine ICE delivering a bad eulogy. Twitter would cook him, and boom, that's content. Another thing that caught my eye was the return of the Newark couch. The problem? Joe labeled them the couch of few words. And oh man, that nickname might stick. They could hear that every time they go quiet. That's not a good look. What made it worse was when Mark left early. Granted, he's involved in civil justice work, and with everything surrounding Jesse Jackson's passing, that's understandable. But once Mark and Flip were gone, the gaps became obvious. Without them, the flow felt shaky. And this is 5 years in. Not just 5 regular years either. They've probably logged more episodes than Rory Farrell and Jamil Mal Clay did during their entire run, especially counting Patreon. So realistically, that's like 5 to 10 years of reps in Joe's podcast universe, and yet they still struggle to carry topics, pivot smoothly, or dive into subjects they don't personally care about. Why? Because they don't re-watch the show. They're not studying other creators. They're not sharpening the blade. They just show up, do enough to survive, and make sure they don't get fired. That's the mindset. Not chasing greatness, just avoiding termination. They're clocking in, not leveling up. Now here's another theory I was thinking about last night, about why they seem so laid back on the mic. Maybe early on, they felt underpaid. Because remember when Joe leaked the Patreon numbers? He said it was hitting 1 million a month. And I'm sitting there thinking that had to be one of his biggest months ever. You could hear the pride in his voice. And it made me wonder, when Joe first launched Patreon, was it even sniffing a million? Or was it closer to 100,000, maybe 200,000, maybe even less than that? So I started asking myself, were Ish and Ice getting paid in proportion to what Patreon was actually bringing in? And maybe back then they felt shortchanged because they see what others earn and they knew the market. I think Ish and Ice low-key overvalued what they brought to the Cold Crush era, and because of that, they've started easing up on the mic. They show up, but the urgency just isn't there. And that might explain why they so quickly defer to the newer voices like Imani, Mark, Flip, and even Melissa Ford. It's almost like y'all probably getting the bigger checks now, so go ahead and cook. They feel like they stabilized the ship after Rory Farrell and Jamil Mal-Clay exited, and now it's someone else's turn to elevate it. But if I'm being honest, I've always felt like almost anyone could have filled those seats back then. I think Imani and Kino could have done it, because at the end of the day, it's Joe's platform. His gravity pulls everything, and if they really adopted that mindset, I believe it fully. I'm not throwing that theory out just to stretch the video. I've genuinely felt for a while that Ish and Ice saw themselves as underpaid and overworked, very similar to what happened with Rory and Mal. And now Joe faces a tricky situation because certain cast members embody the same issues he once criticized. Ish reflects the apathy. Flip reflects the lack of polish, so much so that Imani might have leapfrogged all three. Definitely Ish and Ice, and even this toned-down version of Flip. Imani is ahead right now. And like I said earlier, I truly believe Imani could slide into one of their Patreon spots. You might see Ish and Ice rotate to Patreon while Imani locks into the main show as music becomes more central. And yeah, people call him emotional, but listen to this. I know Imani's studying everything. He's watching my videos, he's watching Elevated, he's even watching the TikTok girl who critiqued him. He's running the Drake album back to back, he's replaying the J. Cole album multiple times, he's rewatching every Patreon episode just like Mark. At minimum, he'll say something, and we'll clown him for it, but he'll try. He's so invested, he probably would have attempted the Jesse Jackson eulogy. It might have been bad, but it would have created a moment. Meanwhile, Ish and Ice are sacrificing moments because they're playing it too cool, acting above the very podcast that's funded them more than anything else they've done in 5 years. And that's a conversation Joe probably doesn't want to have on air. All right, y'all, tell me what you think. I want to close by thanking everyone who's been rocking with the new content I've been dropping. It's inspired by platforms like The Art of Dialogue, Vlad TV, and Say Cheese TV, but with my own twist. I'm passionate about telling stories for people who don't always get a mic. In radio and media, the narrative usually favors the winner, and I want to spotlight the other angles. That's why I'm excited about this new direction. I remember Bill Simmons, the original Podfather, a title Jalen Rose gave him years ago, once said you have to reinvent yourself every year in media. You can't stay stagnant, you got to evolve. And 2026 for me is about reinvention. I'm doing interviews again, but in a completely different way. And I'm not limiting it to podcasters. I'm talking radio personalities, public figures, maybe even rappers. Let's see where this road leads. I've also got a brand new content format coming that's nothing like what I just described. I think y'all are going to rock with it. So when it drops, comment, like, subscribe, and let's level up together. Because I'm realizing something. Last year was about launching podcasts, but podcasts are more about building community than stacking profit. And that changed my perspective. I care more about what I build on my own channel than collaborative ventures I don't fully control. If I don't own it 100%, my passion just isn't the same. I've spent 2 decades working regular jobs, so now it's about executing my vision my way. And if someone thinks that vision is small, that's cool, but I'm distancing myself from that energy. So follow me on Instagram, The Stop TV. Follow the Patreon, The Stop TV. This is Danny from The Stop.